People of Reddit, what's the most desperate thing you've ever done for money? I participated in a food study where I couldn't eat for a day before, arrived at the lab crazy early in the morning, had a tube put down my throat, and lay there for 6 hours as they pumped liquids into and out of my stomach. After the first 2 hours I begged them to at least turn on the TV, but they would only let me watch PBS so I couldn't accidentally see any commercials about food. It wasn't fun, but the pay was decent and they served me a steak dinner afterward. I sold my body to a drug study for 3 weeks in 1991. We took a dose of some antibiotic every day and had blood drawn throughout the day. Every day. Pay was $2,000, which was sweet for 1991. Being in the drug testing facility for 3 weeks was interesting. I was 2 feet away from getting a payday loan before I came to my senses. So happy you were able to stop yourself, it's such a trap. It really is. Took me over a year to get out of mine. Never again. Once when unemployed, I bought a bunch of king-size candy at Costco, and went door to door selling it saying it was a fundraiser for a church youth group. Made a good profit and was able to pay rent that month. I slept with my 64-year-old landlady. In my defense, it was either that or sleep on the streets. Ah yes, the old pump and dump. Just make sure you get your deposit back. Those dumb surveys. Wasn't worth the time I wasted, only got like $10 total before I gave up. As a kid I did that, and they paid us in these dumb token things that were worth pennies. Had a couple hundred, but it wasn't worth anything. Yay, that was fucking Bitcoin, and I got rid of that computer and never found the old emails again. Would be a millionaire right now. Donated plasma, twice a week, for a few months. But hey, it got me through my last semester in college. Dug under a Chinese restaurant without shoring or permits to get to a clogged grease trap. Pulled and replaced hundreds of fluorescent ballasts, old school ones loaded with PCBs, without safety gear. I used to pose naked for art classes while I was an undergrad. Pay was pretty good, about 5 times minimum wage. One grad student who was a good artist but kind of odd asked if I would do a private session of a few hours. I agreed as I was desperate for money. I figured that I had just been hired for sex. I was a bit conflicted but then just figured why not? I showed up cleaned and prepped and dressed to look good, and it turned out that the artist really did want me to pose. During the whole thing they were polite but very specific on poses, and it was actually a bit challenging. They were so intense. While not particularly good looking, the talent and effort was kind of a turn on. By the end I was half hoping it would turn into sex and they would keep telling me how to pose, what to do, etc. We went over the time but the artist was nice and grateful and paid extra. So I guess that I learned I would be willing to have sex for money in some situations. I scrounged every inch of my car, trunk, under carpet, pulled out seats, to find enough change not to bounce a check. I needed less than $1 and had about an hour to find the money and deposit it. The banker lady knew what was up when I made the deposit. 30-some years later and I still haven't bounced a check. In university, I signed up as a lab rat for various studies. One involved staying awake for 30+ hours in a room with no sunlight, communication, or anything else that might give me a sense of time. Among blood and urine tests as well as various probes and monitoring devices, it also involved keeping a thermometer in my ass the entire time. $1,400 is $1,400 though. I was expecting much juicier answers here. I made porn with my first husband and he sold the photos and videos. They are somewhere in the bowels of the internet, but I have no idea where. No face though. White beard. Red suit. Kids on my knee. Ho, ho, ho. That was a crazy April. Worked nearly 20 years in a place that I knew was toxic, was full of toxic people, and put me regularly in direct contact with some of the worst examples humanity had to offer. Same. When I finally left, it felt like Andy at the end of Shawshank Redemption. Worked 50 hours a week at a job that makes me fantasize about driving my car straight into a concrete wall at 100 miles per hour. Mind if I ride shotgun? I was 20, broke, about to be homeless. Guy I used to work for thought I was hot, said he'd pay me $100 if I let him suck me off, and jerked him off while he did it. That hundo helped me get my life back on track. Sure, I had to jerk another guy off to get it, but a dick's a dick, man shrugging. Edit, totally was not expecting this to blow up like it did lol. For those that asked, yes, I'm doing much better now. I have a great job as a software developer and finished getting my bachelor's. This incident was 15 years ago. In 7th grade I did a horrible attempt at the worm at a school dance for $1. This is the wholesome content I'm here for. Drove around in the middle of the night in my small town with bolt cutters. I opened up every single newspaper stand I could find and probably made a good $300 that night in quarters. I sold my first guitar that my dad gave to me when I was a kid to pay my rent and buy a microwave. Sounds like something a dad would understand. Started scamming meal delivery companies to be able to eat. I'd break open the ice pack and claim all the food was damaged, then I'd get comped for the meals and get a whole new box delivered for free. Felt very shameful, but hunger is real. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for daily uploads. After you've done that, check out one of our other videos.